Biden will be speaking tonight for the first time since he dropped out of the race on Sunday. In the meantime, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was on The View. Let's watch.
This insanity of a news cycle where people will go, he's got to go, he's too old, he's too much. Where was your head when you are hearing people go at him like this as he's recovering from COVID at the same time?
So, look, this has been an interesting couple of weeks, to say the least. But what has always been the case is it's always been a privilege and an honor for me to represent this president of the United States and be the White House press secretary for this president. And at the end of the day, when you think about what he has done the last 4 years, when you think about who he has been as a human, as a person, by the time we're done, by the time we run through the finish line at the end of January, he would have done more than most presidents have done in 8 years. He would have done more in 4 years. And what we saw from this president the last couple days was a human decency, a good man, someone who decided not to put himself first, like we've seen before, but to put the American people first and this country first.
Joy Behar also asked Karine Jean-Pierre whether Biden felt personally betrayed by the Democrats who had pushed him out. Let's watch her response.
Does he understand that it was for the country also?
I mean, look, he's going to speak tomorrow. We'll hear from him directly, and I think he'll address whatever is on his heart. Like you said, he has a big heart. He understands where people are. He understands having done this 36 years as a senator, 8 years as vice president, and now almost 4 years as president. He gets it. He gets where we are as a country. Let's not forget, there's a lot at stake.
And then she called J.D. Vance, the vice presidential candidate on the Republican side, she called him ridiculous for saying that Biden couldn't finish his term out. Let's watch.
So listen, there have been a lot of criticisms about if the White House was transparent enough about Biden's health in the months leading up to the debate. But now calls have gone further, including vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance saying if he's not up to serving 4 more years, can he serve out the rest of his term? How do you respond to that?
I think that's ridiculous. Seriously.
He's ridiculous.
Not me. But what I will say is, the president decided to not run for re-election. That's it. That's all he decided on. He wants to continue to do the work. 3.5 years of unprecedented historic work. I think that shows what he's capable of doing. I think that shows how important his leadership is. And moments ago, I talked about how he was able to reach across the aisle and do things in bipartisanship in the political environment that we're in. We have so much more work to do, and he understands that. He's going to speak to this in about 24 hours or so, and he'll lay that out. But this president is ready to continue to lead this country in a historic way.
Alyssa always manages to make the conservative point in, I think, the kindest to the liberal guest way possible. I'm going to be less kind to Karine Jean-Pierre here. Look, she's been complicit in a massive cover-up for I don't even know how long now. What's the point of interviewing her? She's not an honest actor. She has been exposed as a liar and a propagandist for saying that it was manipulated and they're trying to trick you into thinking Joe Biden is too old and too out of it. That's what she was doing up until the debate. She must have known. She has enough. She can't have plausible deniability because she's so proximate to Joe Biden. She's so involved in his life for the entire time she's been press secretary. So she knew she had the thankless task, the impossible job of pretending that he was still capable of going through the motions of the campaign and the presidency when he was clearly not. Now we all know it. And so she's just been caught that her job was to lie on his behalf, which sucks for her, but is what she was doing, and there's no way around that. She is complicit in a massive effort to shield from the American people and many in the media that Biden could no longer be the candidate, and Democrats should be mad at her about it because now they're in a situation where I know you think she's going to turn out to be a great candidate, and we'll see if that's the case. They're in a position where they have a candidate who is, in my view, utterly untested in the national stage because they've had to swap out Biden at the last moment. And if it had been clearer to people that he was not able to do this for longer, there might have been time to, actually have people choose a new candidate instead of what's happening.
Yeah, I am manifesting Kamala Harris being a better candidate than Joe Biden. Thanks for noticing, Robbie. But no, I think Karine Jean-Pierre, like any press secretary, has a job to do. And I never expect a press secretary to be honest or go against the president, ever. They're employed to be a mouthpiece. So I just never expect truth from people like Karine Jean-Pierre. That's why I make these press conference skit videos making fun of how much they're a mouthpiece for, in the case of Biden, his campaign, his administration. In the case of John Kirby, a mouthpiece for Israel. You know, they all have their different roles as press secretaries. And I just don't have a lot of respect for any of them because I think it's the worst job in politics. You're running cover for people usually doing horrible things, and you have to take the fall for all of it. But Jen Psaki's doing well. You know, she has a career in media now, like a lot of former press secretaries do. But it's really the worst job in politics.
Jumped right from one to the other without anyone in the media saying there was anything improper or inappropriate about that. And it's true that that commonly happens. She's not at all the first person to do that. It is typical for a press secretary, for an administration on both sides, to land on their feet in cable news. That happens all the time. Of course, you know, there was a huge freak out. This is so many news cycles ago. Now I barely even, and by that I mean it probably happened last week, but so much happens I barely even remember the details of it. But remember Romney McDaniel, the RNC chair, got offered a contributor deal on, I can't even remember now if it was CNN or MSNBC, and everyone went ballistic and freaked out and prevented that from happening because like, oh, what if she's going to be talking about, you know, she was so close to the administration, so she's just going to be, you know, lobbying on their behalf or something. Well, Jen Psaki negotiated her deal to join MSNBC while she was still in the administration. So it's just, you know, bad faith kind of performative outrage. But yeah, I agree with you. It's not really unique to Karine Jean-Pierre. It's a terrible job. I don't know why anyone would want to do it. Yeah. Being a mouthpiece for the administration. You can't say, yeah, my boss is wrong. We're being untruthful with you. No, you got to spin it to be favorable to the administration. That's the job. But she happens to have been caught because she said that it was manipulated images, remember the cheap fake videos, that these videos you're seeing of Biden looking disoriented, wandering off, and you know, and some of them were cropped in a way, or like, you know, cut in a way that was maximally unfavorable to him. And I noted that when we talked about it on the show. I said, yeah, this one doesn't show that he's actually going to look at something or whatever. But one of them was where, you know, where Barack Obama has to kind of help him off the stage at that donor event. That was one of the ones that said it was manipulated. That's the event, the George Clooney event, where he concluded that, oh my God, Joe Biden is really out of it. And everyone who interacted with Joe Biden thought that. And they continued to not say anything about it. And Karine Jean-Pierre continued to lie about it until it became impossible to do so. So I really don't, I mean, they were far too nice to her, which is, you know, not surprising. They're very, very partisan, very in the tank against Trump. So she shouldn't have. That's probably the only show she wants to do, because The View is where you're going to get the nicest treatment if you're a Democrat. But it's just utterly inexcusable at this point.
Yeah, I expect the truth from journalists, not from mouthpieces of administrations. I do think there is a point to, like Joe Biden potentially doing one job instead of two is manageable in his current state. I think someone could argue that, but I don't think we've seen enough of Joe Biden candidly, without a prompter, not in a controlled setting, to really say. Yeah,
I've seen enough. I absolutely don't.
We don't know what he's like in meetings. I think it's probably not good. I know people who have met with him in the White House who have said this for years, to be honest with you. And that's scary. And I think I have concerns that he's commander-in-chief right now. But I just don't think there's any winning for Democrats in the eyes of the right. It's a coup. How is Kamala the leader of the party? The elites picked her, all of this stuff. Simultaneously, they're pushing the 25th Amendment, trying to push the president out of office. So do you want him in office or do you not? If he stepped aside and put Kamala in there, they would say they're just doing this so they have incumbency, right? There's every way you can spin it. No winning there.
Sure. I mean, Republicans are trying to spin the situation to their advantage. But I don't think it is crazy at all. In fact, I so much don't think it's crazy. I agree with it to say that Look, if he's not physically and cognitively capable of running for president, he should not be president right now. And this isn't like an abstract trying to guess what his state is. Like, we saw him in the debate. We've seen him subsequently in interviews where they went slightly better than the debate, but not all that well. He has not inspired faith that he can stick this out, and he's admitting on some level that he can't do it because he agreed to step aside. And the Democrats don't think he can do it. So then you have to get in this place where we're saying, well, he's capable right now, but we're making a but what we're saying is we don't think, years from now, by the end of his second term he would serve, he wouldn't be capable then. No, it's the people don't think he's capable now, and that he might not be alive in that many years. Like, that's what the concern is. Or that you have to say that, well, he's capable of being president or running the country, but the extra stress of campaigning is too much for him. I don't think that's setting anyone at ease. But yeah, Republicans are going to say whatever they're going to say about it. I think they're right to say that. I think they're right to say that there are serious questions. And the 25th Amendment, MSNBC talked all about invoking that against Trump for his perceived craziness or mental decline that they were talking about, which doesn't even hold a candle to the situation we're seeing with Biden. So I think it is not at all wrong to talk about those things. Nothing is going to be done about it. He is going to serve out the rest of his term, and his cabinet's not going to remove him, obviously. He intends to continue being as president, even if that just involves, sitting in his room and being mad about what his party did to him. So I have no illusions. He's not going anywhere for the rest of the term. He will continue to be the president, but if Republicans continue to make something about that, it seems perfectly fair to me.
Yeah, when Trump was in the hospital with COVID, no one was like, where's the president? Why isn't he in the White House? No, he had COVID. Biden's getting a totally different treatment. I think that's a bit ridiculous. The guy's sick. There's a chain of command. There are many advisors around him, many people he's appointed to help him. So I don't have that same feeling that you have Candace Owens saying, like, where is he? There's people saying he could be dead. We haven't seen him. He has no events. So very interested to see what he says tonight at 8 p.m., but I think he's very much alive.
Yeah, certainly. I think he's mostly keeping a low profile because he has been humiliated by his party and doesn't want to, this is like when you lose the school election for president of your class or something and are just kind of huffy the next day and don't want to show up. Like, I think that's the mood he's in, which I do not at all blame him for. But we will continue to discuss that. More Rising right after this.